and leaves them to die. Her cousin is found sitting in an alleyway. He has been stabbed through the heart. He had just left a dinner with his twin brother, and they were arguing because the cousin who was murdered, he was the first son of the family. Back then, that means you get everything. The second son gets nothing. He was born 5 minutes before his brother, so he gets everything, and his brother gets nothing. The police automatically looked at the brother as the murderer.
Of course.
And arrest him.
Whoever profits from the crime is the first to be looked at.
Well, Charlotte hears about it, of course, and she is devastated. She knows that her cousins loved each other, even though they argued. I argue with you, you're my daughter, I wouldn't kill you. Most of the time. She knows that there's no way he would kill her. So she goes to Rexford, who is the Earl of Rexford. It never really says his first name, so I have no idea what
Earl.
that is. Earl, yeah. Yeah, my name's Earl. He can go to places that she can't. She's a woman. Well, he goes to the prison to visit the condemned. She comes along, dressed as a street urchin. She has all these disguises that she can, that's how she finds out all her news, that she can sneak in and out of places. It was a very well done story. I'm not going to go into too much about what happens because
you need to read the book.
You need to read the book. The one thing I liked about the book was Charlotte, she has to rejoin her family, her original family, in order to become able to get into places like the palace, because as a commoner she would never be able to go out near it. So she has to go back to the old life. She doesn't want to because she's set up this household. She has a lovely maid who is your typical, most of these stories have one servant that you just adore. And then she has 2 little street urchins that she's adopted. One is named Hawk and one is named Raven. And they're 7 and 8 years old. They run all through the streets and they find out secrets for her. They kind of remind you of an Oliver Twist urchin.
Or the Baker Street Irregulars.
Right, exactly. So she uses them in her crime solving. It was very well wrapped up. It's a good read.
You said she has to kind of ingratiate herself with her family. Is this setting up for future reconciliation, do you think?
No.
No, okay.
She makes it very clear she's only doing this to help her cousin. Once he is cleared, she will go back to her old life if at all possible.
Okay.
There's a Earl of Rexford and her have this history. They're very obviously in love with each other, but back then you couldn't say that, so they're jumping all around hoops to be with each other but not come out and say anything.
So I take it this is an ongoing series?
Yes, this is the 3rd in the series. Now, Andrea Penrose began her writing career at age 5. She created a number of westerns with crayon drawings of horses and cowboys. But she's moved on to Regency England, an era that's fascinated her ever since she picked up a copy of Jane Austen. She loves the Regency era because it's such a fabulously interesting time. It's a world of swirl in silks, seduction, and the intrigue of the Napoleonic Wars. There are radical new ideas. People are challenging and changing the fundamentals of society. You had Beethoven doing symphonies, Byron composing poetry, J.M.W. Turner dabbling in watercolors, and Mary Wollstonecraft writing the first feminist manifestos. And she also writes books under the name Andrea Pickens, which are traditional Regency romances. She writes historical romances under the name Cara Elliott. Her website is www.andreapenrose.com.
Well, there you go. That's great, Anne. We have so many of our listeners enjoy a good historical fiction, so
they would enjoy this one. The only problem I had with it it's just my personal. It went into quite a bit of scientific explanation of different.
See, I would enjoy that.
I would too, yeah.
I'm not a scientific bent person on mathematics, and if you are, you will love this book. It was a good book. I enjoyed it. It's a very easy read. I do plan on going back and reading the first 3 in the series.
Which you'll have done tomorrow.
No, day after. So that's my book recommendation for the month.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, I forgot to mention in the last couple of episodes, it's a little late for beach reads at this point. I did hear where the Seattle Times recommended one of our In Agatha's Footsteps authors, Laura Lippman's Lady in the Lake, as a good beach read.
She's gotten a lot of attention for that book. It's everywhere I look. It was People Magazine's Book of the Week. It was Time Magazine's Book of the Week.
So definitely go pick up Laura Lippman's Lady in the Lake. Go back and listen to the episode. It's not the greatest in audio, but it's a really interesting
We did
episode.
what we could.
Yes.
It's a really interesting episode.
Okay. The only thing we have coming up right at this moment is Hallow Read on the 25th and 26th of October in Ellicott City, Maryland. Remember, if you go to hallowread.com and sign up to attend, you get 15% off the admission if you use the code Dark and Stormy.
Oh, you do have to come. We just got back from the National Book Festival, and these book festivals are just so much fun, and you get to meet all kinds of authors, and of course you get to meet us.
So join us next time, and remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.